about what everybody in the city can do to prepare. First of all, I just want to acknowledge that we're just a couple of days past what was a very significant weather event here in the city of Hartford. We saw rainfall accumulations 2 days ago that some people are categorizing as a 100-year storm, some as a 200-year storm, but it was an enormous volume of rain in a very short period of time that led to some of the worst flooding that we've seen in many, many years. What that also means is that the ground is probably going to be pretty saturated, and so we are very, very attuned to the possibility that we'll see some significant flooding over the next couple of days as well. Let me just share with you what we know right now and what we're doing. The rain is scheduled to begin overnight, probably start to pick up in the early morning hours tomorrow morning. And the winds will start rising tomorrow morning as well. I think we are currently expecting this hurricane to make landfall in Connecticut around 2 p.m. tomorrow. And though we are not on the shoreline, this is a small state and we're not all that far. So I think we'll feel the effects pretty severely and pretty soon after that hurricane hits. We are continuing to monitor the projections about rainfall accumulation. The projections have changed right now. It looks like it's somewhere in the 4 to 8 inches of rain, which is a significant amount of rain. A lot depends on how fast that falls. What was so extraordinary about the rain that we saw a couple of days ago is that we had about 5 inches of rain coming down in under 2 hours, which is an incredibly quick time frame to have that volume fall. We don't know what we'll see, but we need to be prepared, and we need to be prepared for something just as severe, if not worse. So we've had our Department of Public Works team out there clearing the tops of catch basin drains, looking for any place that there's debris that might obstruct the tops of those drains. We are also preparing to call in the resources that we think we might need from our police and our fire departments to ensure that we're able to provide all the assistance that's necessary, any rescue support that's necessary. A couple of days ago, our teams were out there bringing a lot of people to safety from floodwaters or from stranded cars. They are prepared to do what needs to be done there too. We're also coordinating closely with partners. The MDC has been out cleaning and vacuuming out catch basins that may have seen some debris accumulation from the storm a couple of days ago, and those catch basins that periodically are more challenging than others. So they're out there doing that work today. You heard from Eversource yesterday about what they say they are doing to pre-position resources. Obviously, that's very important. In addition to the rain, there's going to be some pretty strong winds, so there's a very high likelihood that we'll see limbs coming down, that we may see trees coming down, power outages, and blocked roadways. Again, our police, fire, and DPW teams are prepared to respond, to secure those scenes and to try to clear those roadways and allow Eversource to do their work as quickly as they can. But we want to make sure that everybody is anticipating that you may well see some road closures and you may well see some power outages. Now, there are some things that everybody can do. We can't, there's lots about a storm like this that we can't control, but there are some things that we can prepare for. So if you need to, make sure that you're getting some non-perishable items, getting some water, you have enough of that stuff. Also, make sure your devices are charged. If you got flashlights in the house, make sure that they've got full batteries or that they're charged if you can charge them. Make sure your phones are charged. Check in on any elderly neighbors that you may have. Ask them what they might need. And as the storm starts to hit, if you have the opportunity to check in on them and just see how they're doing, that would mean a lot too. The other thing is to keep an eye out on those storm drains. So whether you are a resident or you're a business, if you look out before the storm comes or after the storm comes and you see that there's some obstruction on your storm drains, if you can, clear it off. Again, our DPW team is going around the city doing that work, But this is one of those times when I think we all have to pitch in. And so if you see a storm drain that is obstructed or is getting obstructed, and if you're able to do it, just clear it off. It could make a world of difference in making sure that that water can flow. I think that's it from me. I may have a few other things to share in a minute, but right now I'd like to ask some of our key department heads to come up and share a little bit more about what they're doing. I'm going to start with the Director of Public Works, Mike Looney. Mike, over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, right now we have all of our crews from the Streets Division and a number of other divisions that are supporting them, including our park staff and some of our other divisions. They're out checking catch basins, making sure that the tops are clear. We're figuring we're probably going to be wrapping up with that work about 3 to 3:30 p.m. this afternoon. We've got a handful of basins that we're going to need MDC's help on clearing due to possible obstructions down below the street level, and so we've reached out to them and we're having that conversation now. Essentially, we're going to wrap up this afternoon. We worked until late evening yesterday to keep the streets, get the streets as clean and as clear as possible, and to secure our facilities, make sure all our generators have enough fuel, and that all of our city facilities are prepared for the storm as well. So our start time is probably going to be about 7 a.m. tomorrow. Most of the department will be in supporting all operations, with the exception of some administrative staff. We're probably going to have most of our people here, and then we're just going to have to see how it goes. We expect the worst of the weather to probably be between noon and midnight, and we could see some very heavy rainfall and obviously some strong winds, and then it's a matter of positioning our resources correctly and having folks like our outside tree contractors in place to handle any downed trees that are blocking roads. And then, of course, working with the utilities, especially Eversource with the power lines being down. So that's kind of where we are right now, and I'd be happy to turn it back to Mayor.
Chief Barco.
That's it. Thanks. So good afternoon. From the HFD standpoint, we are hiring extra crews to mitigate any water emergencies. Our team at the Hartford Fire Department is well equipped with life vests, rescue ropes. Our heavy rescue, as you've seen a few minutes ago that just passed by, also has a water rescue inflatable boat and some water rescue suits in the event that we do have to do some swift water rescues. We are working with Eversource as well as the other entities, working with HPD and state troopers to block off any roadways that may be compromised by flooding waters, and we'll continue to monitor any streets that's overflown, block them off as we see, and report them through our dispatch center so that we can have someone monitor those streets so that individuals don't pass through it. So as a reminder, if you're out in the city and you're driving and you cannot see the lines, yellow lines, whether it be yellow lines or anything traffic-wise, if you cannot see them, turn around, don't drown. It's been all over every network, every commercial, so just be cognizant of the fact that the water can appear deeper than what it really is.
Morning, everybody. Just briefly, the PD is we have our units on standby for Sunday. We have extra staff in, primarily to make sure that we're closing off streets, keeping people off the roadways that can be dangerous, securing down power lines, down trees, and directing folks that have to be out on the road the safest way to get to wherever they're going. With that said, just a reminder not to be out there unless you have to be. the less vehicular traffic that we have to deal with, as I'm sure we're going to have to close down some roads at least, the better. We also have a couple heavy rescue vehicles that we have operators standing by with in case we have to perform any kind of rescues in conjunction with the fire department. We also have a marine division. Some of our smaller boats, while we don't normally have to activate them to be on the streets, as you've seen in other areas that have been flooded, sometimes those boats come in handy if you have to rescue folks from their residence. So we have all of our staff is ready to go, and we will be out there. We just encourage people, if you see something, call us early. In a storm like this, the more time goes by, the more water falls, the worse things get. So if you see something that you think needs to be addressed by the police department or by any other city department, call us early and often, and we'll get out there and take care of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. All right. So just to echo a couple of those key messages. The first is, look, this is a pretty big storm. We haven't seen a hurricane hit this directly or projected to hit this directly in an awfully long time. So again, there's a lot about a storm like that you can't control. There will be changing forecasts. We'll have to adjust and be flexible, but there are things that we are doing to prepare, and there are things that you can do to prepare. I'd want to particularly echo that last point, though. Once this storm starts to hit, just stay put. Stay off the roads. Don't move around. Plan to play some board games or pick some good movies to watch, but unless you have to be out and driving around, just stay off the roads, stay home, stay put. Let our teams do their work of responding, and as the chief said, if there is something that needs to be addressed, let us know as soon as possible. We've got an awfully significant amount of resources pre-positioned, ready to respond. All that said, the other thing I would ask of everybody is please be patient. With a storm like this, if there are severe impacts, whether it's flooding or power lines or road closures, that usually doesn't happen in just one place. When that happens, it usually happens in a lot of places throughout the city. We will do our best to prioritize the response, to triage, and get to all of it. But please be patient as we wait to see what comes and then deal with whatever hits us. Happy to take any questions. All right. Thanks, everybody.